fly. But I can do it. I'm always nervous, but I'll be all right.
Each of these will maybe put out a couple thousand seeds. If one of them even germinates, that's a very lucky seed. And then beyond that, all of the conditions have to be perfect.
I'm having a lot of fun, yeah. So I'm friends with the little white and gray one. I don't really know the name of the goats, but it's been a good time.
A lot of people don't realize that there truly are black cowboys and cowgirls because you don't see them in the history books. My name's Denise Tyus. I compete in rodeo. It's a competitive event, gives you such an adrenaline rush. It's like a drugless high. It's a good thing. You're playing in the dirt, but it's good, clean fun. That the whole family can do and enjoy. I've been around it just about all my life. I actually didn't start competing until I was grown, but my children have grown up around rodeo. It helped us to teach our children about responsibility, setting some goals. It was really something good that it kept them out of trouble. And then, of course, my niece. She's just been coming over and riding, and I try to give her a few pointers. It's kind of a neat thing to be recognized as a black cowboy and a cowgirl in the area, but at the same time, there are so few. It's one of those things that you think, well, wow. We are actually on our way to a friend of ours in Heber Springs, Arkansas. Now my son and my husband, they're going to do a little steer wrestling practice. Steer wrestling, as it's called now, was once called bulldogging, but that event was invented by an African-American cowboy by the name of Bill Pickett. You don't see a lot of that on TV. So African-Americans played a pretty big role in the Old West. Try to take extra good care of the animals, from the stock to the horses that we ride. They're not being hurt during the rodeo. You take care of them, they enjoy what they're doing, they're really going to give you everything that they have. You know, there's no reason to mistreat them. This weekend, the Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo is going to Memphis, Tennessee. Is just an event that portrays the cowboy and cowgirl from the African American community.
Grandbaby stuff.
It's like a little mini vacation. Get an opportunity to travel with, again, my husband, children, granddaughters, my mom. Here, what's your backpack?
Have the next rodeo this evening at 7 o'clock. But right now I'm just doing lunch for everybody. Some of my homemade sausages that I make. Then everybody should be real good to go. Their bellies will be full, the horses are happy, and this is what takes us to the top. Did you try a piece of that sausage I made? I'm gonna let you try. Pepper jack cheese.
It's about just a little more than an hour before rodeo time. Or hurry up and finish getting dressed. You know, as part of the requirements of rodeo is that you have on a long sleeve shirt, pair of boots. Your belt buckle says a lot about what you've accomplished at rodeo, and you got to top it off with a hat. So pretty exciting. It'll be loud and wild out there.
I'm gonna be so fast, you're gonna have to be quick with your camera.
Are you ready to see your cowboys and cowgirls on What I want to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about those bulls?
Right now, they're doing some calf roping and steer wrestling. In steer wrestling, the guys jump off their horse and throw the steer down, and it's a race for time. The guy with the fastest time wins.
My run didn't turn out the best. Steer was getting a little strong on my arm, so I didn't really finish him good, and the end results was he folded up on me, and so I just let him go.
Here in a minute, we're going to do some more ladies steering decorating. I also do an event called barrel racing. You run a cloverleaf pattern. It's a speed event. You have to leave all three of the barrels standing because you can hit it as long as it stays standing. But if you knock it over, then it's a 5-second penalty. Oh man, didn't go as well as planned. I actually mowed the second barrel down, so therefore I got a 5-second penalty. So no purse, no winnings today.
I'm a little bit nervous, I'm not gonna lie. But I can do it. I'm always nervous, but I'll be all right.
Red, she made a nice run. Probably one of the best runs that we've seen her. Just pretty proud of her right now. Nice, smooth. Everything we've been practicing, she got that done.
Thank you. It's 198, third place. It's all right.
Oh, it went pretty well, you know, got the win in the steer wrestling, and finally, you know, everything come together, horses worked good, got a good steer, and it's actually my full-time job now, so it's a hard way to make a living, but I love it, so I can't think of anything else I'd rather do.
I think everybody should have the opportunity just to unplug from the rest of the world for a while, from cell phones, Netflix streaming, computers, all of it, because there's none of that available here at all. Our only contact with the outside world is the radio with the Forest Service office and a satellite phone in case of emergency. And almost to a person, when we've seen people coming in visiting, they are just so completely relaxed and glad to be away from everything else out there for a little while.
Wherever you look, it is just, you know, phenomenal.
The The Forest Service brings us in by jet boat with all of our supplies that we have procured, and then essentially they drop you off and say, we'll see you in 4 weeks. What are you hoping to do this afternoon?
I think I'll read a little bit.
I'm going to do another round of irrigation here when everyone... There are daily chores. I mean, there's almost constant irrigation. As you can see, we have a wide expanse of green lawn. So there's an irrigation pipe that runs all the way across the upper end of the property. And at 5 different positions, we've got valves and hoses and sprinklers that I set out. The whole water system is sort of homestead-like, so it requires a lot of flushing and maintenance to keep it operational. We've got the public restrooms to clean out. We open the museum, try to keep it tidy. You know, each morning we open and each evening we lock it. But that's about it. And then general maintenance. Watch out. Yellow jackets. The wasps. Yeah. I think it's good for all of us to remember where we came from. I think in daily life for most of us, we're just so far removed from the natural world that we forget. We forget about Mother Earth. We forget about, you know, our real, genuine connection to the whole ecosphere.
Most of the Saguaro cactus are 35 to 40 feet, which is a 3 to 4 story building. It's about as tall. They can get taller, but usually they top out right about there. Most of them in this district, when they're about 55 or 60 years old, they'll put on their first flowers. At about 75 years, they'll put out their first arm. Maybe in 150 years, they'll be at their full height with as many arms as they're going to have. And then around 200 years is when we would expect the old cactus to start showing signs of mortality. When May is when we would start to see those big flowers. Those flowers then get pollinated by bats and birds and bees. In July or so is when we'll start to see those flowers close up and turn into that egg-shaped fruit. Very similar in style to what we see in the prickly pear, except that when it's ripe, it'll burst open and it looks like a 4-petaled bright red flower with the ball of fruit kind of sitting in the center of it. The seeds themselves are very tiny. I mean, they're very tiny. They look like grains of pepper is how big the seed is. It's very, very tiny. And not even like a whole peppercorn, like when you grind pepper. Each of these will maybe put out a couple thousand seeds. If one of them even germinates, that's a very lucky seed. And then beyond that, all of the conditions have to be perfect in order for a saguaro seedling to live. If you think about water, when we do get rain here, it's unusual for it to rain for more than a day, day and a half. Really, most of those rains are only a couple of hours long. So when the rain hits the ground, that absorbs in, it only absorbs down a couple of inches before it starts to pull out by the sun again. They may be shallow, but there's an immense network that's under our feet, and they can go out as far as they are tall. So we are easily standing on these two big guys' roots. Saguaro National Park is located in Tucson, Arizona. This park is actually one of the few in the United States National Park System that was set aside specifically for science. People wanted to understand this environment and understand this species, and so that was part of our enabling legislation in 1933. Everything in the national park is protected, so we don't allow harvesting or collecting of any materials that are here in the park, and that goes for cactus.
We don't know a lot about this fish, and you're not going to learn unless you do it. To spawn these, we inject the female and the male with hormone. And we actually take the eggs cesarean section.
This fish weighs 50 pounds. First thing we're going to do is cut her open. Here's our ovary. We're going to start right here, go up underneath the ovary, and just pull it loose from the flesh. And here's our first ovary. This is actually a very small ovary in comparison to some. I would say this fish is going to yield about a pound of caviar, maybe 2. The idea is to get it out of the fish and into the ice as quickly as possible. The colder the eggs stay, the higher the quality of the caviar. If you let them warm up to room temperature, you risk the caviar getting soft, which will definitely change the quality. And here's our second ovary. The fish will be passed outside for the girls to process and fillet, and then the meat will be sold in the market. It's a very high quality meat, and there is a good amount of requests for the meat. You don't have to push real hard, you just roll like this, and they're coming off, and they're dropping down here. Just wash it once. I think if someone's spending $1,500 on a tin of caviar, they're going to notice if there's bits of fat in it. So the more you can remove, the better you can make it look, the better the taste will be, and the happier your customers are going to be. Some people say it's better to let it age a while. My customers love it when I sell it immediately. That's what Leah was telling you about. More and more customers are liking it fresh than aged. It develops a stronger flavor when it's aged.
Oh, we have the healthiest sturgeon population probably in the world. And the population here in Idaho is growing every year.
We hope that we can sort of set this new standard in fast food. So we sort of drew our inspiration for the food we grew up and loved to eat, but today we don't really get excited about going to eat there. We know all the things that are bad for the environment and coming from it, or bad for your health, with all the documentaries and all everything's learning about nutrition. So we're trying to kind of bring back those flavors and those awesome food experiences that people grew up on. It's just trying to bring a lot of sourcing and transparency and just great ingredients to a food that's by far the most popular in America: hamburgers, French fries, hot dogs.
I would say I know that they're all like grass-fed based and everything, and so I feel like economically, environmentally friendly, and also just like the service here is really, really great.
So we were sort of procrastinating getting normal jobs. We weren't really excited about the 9 to 5. And we had this idea in college to sort of get money to go travel and do things after graduation. It sort of inspired us to just go all in and try to get a food truck, learn more about the industry. And since then, we've just been learning a ton and kind of growing as the business has grown. And I think today we feel like we have a larger purpose and a mission. So it's exciting for us to kind of go and try to change the way people eat and change the way fast food works. It's kept us busy and kept us excited.
Could I just get a Swizz stack with no pickles? So much.
Enjoy, man.
There you go. They're pretty good. They're like truffle. I don't know. Some people really don't like truffle, but I'm a big truffle person.
Usually, people ask for some sort of recommendations, especially on our hot dog truck. I would say people are always looking for recommendations there.
McDonald's came around 50 years ago. There were plenty of copycats that jumped up right afterwards. We believe that because this is a food that people have such a great connection to, if we can prove a business model where not only the customer is excited and winning, our business is sustainable, we're able to do things that are sustainable for the environment as well, that we can sort of set a new standard of excellence in fast food.
So what we do with goats, we do parties where we bring the goats around for feeding, petting, playing with them. All right, ready? Running of the goats. Let's go. Come on.
Wow. So cute and little. Oh my God, I love them. So they're always fun, always entertaining. First I was like, what are you going to do with goats for 2 hours? But they are so entertaining that it's like, oh, I wish we had them for longer.
These are my third and fourth, hey, don't eat that. They're my third and fourth goats. I started my company in 2017 with my two original goats, Spanky and Pippin. They also came from the same farm. And the goats really exceeded my expectations. I thought that they would be fun, but I didn't realize how fun they would be. They brought me so much joy that I thought maybe other people in Los Angeles would want to hang out with baby goats too.
That's gross. You're disgusting.
I'm having a lot of fun, yeah. So I'm friends with the little white and gray one. I don't really know the name of the goats, but it's been a good time.
So yeah, I started my business, and through word of mouth, it's just grown and grown, and now it's my full-time job.
Yeah.
We also do goat grams, which is something we started to do this year. That's where we bring two baby goats and we surprise somebody, and they get a little goodie bag and a 30-minute visit with the baby goats. Well, we also do hiking with goats, so if people want the goats to come on a hike with them, we do that as well. Goats were the second animal domesticated after dogs, so despite what most people know about them, they are very social animals. They love to be around people. And a lot of people have had experience with goats before, like in their childhood, at like a petting zoo or something like that. So there's a bit of a nostalgia factor as well.